and welcome back to Smart Real Estate. We are now joined with Jasmine Corona with Farmers Insurance. Hey Jasmine, how are you?
Good, how are you? Thanks for having me.
Good, thanks for coming on the show.
Sure.
So tell me, how did you get into selling insurance?
Sure, good question. I got into selling insurance in 2007. Originally I wanted to be in the real estate industry, and that was not a good time to be going into the real estate industry, so I chose insurance. It's a great small business opportunity, and Farmers Insurance is number 3 in the nation, so I picked a good company to work for. So
that's awesome. Well, that leads me to my next question. Tell me a little bit about Farmers Insurance. How are you guys different, as a company, and then how are you different as being a rep?
Sure. Well, Farmers Insurance has been in business since 1928, so it's over 80 years old. My agency is different, as well as Farmers, as we focus on farmers-friendly reviews. So when a customer has an insurance policy, we do an annual review of their policy every year, which I think is unique in the insurance agency industry.
Okay. Now, what do you mean an annual review? To see if they're getting all the coverage that's necessary, or the pricing has changed? Or?
Exactly. So what happens is your life changes, things may be different on your home, maybe you do some remodels, maybe you had a baby, maybe you're moving, or you move from a different state, things like that. So we make sure that we talk with our customers every year to review all of the changes in their lives to make sure that they have appropriate coverage in place.
That's a great way to, another reason to touch base with your clients, so that's awesome.
Absolutely.
Now tell me, Jasmine, how are you different as far as being a sales rep? How are you a different salesperson?
Well, I think the review is something that sets me apart from other agents in the industry. Most people have never had an insurance review of their policies, and most people don't even know what they're purchasing. It's just a requirement on a loan, or they need it today, so they get a policy in place, but they don't really know what they're buying. So I really sit down with the customer and do a needs-based selling and make sure that the appropriate coverage is in place.
That sounds great. Now tell me, is home insurance mandatory in California?
It's a good question. Home insurance is not mandatory. It's not like auto insurance where it's mandated by the state. However, it is required when you're purchasing a home and you have a loan on that home. So if a buyer buys a home or a property cash, it's not required, but they definitely should get it in place to protect themselves and one of the biggest assets that they're going to purchase. So
they have to show proof when they purchase, and then every so many years, or how do they know that they have insurance?
As far as the lending is concerned, we put the lender, the mortgage company, on the insurance policy. So every time that policy renews, the lender gets a copy of that as well. They get notification.
And then what kind of policy is needed for home insurance for a new home buyer?
Sure. It depends on the kind of property that they're buying. So if they're going to be purchasing a single family dwelling that they're going to be living in, they would need a homeowners insurance policy. But if they're an investor and they're buying the property to rent out to somebody else, they would need a landlord protector policy. A condo policy, they would need an HO6 policy. And that's where I would come in and educate the customer on exactly what it is that they need, because consumer isn't an insurance expert, so it's really important to have an agent to ask those questions to.
And I'm sure there's different levels as far as what the individual ones, as far as coverage goes, more coverage or less coverage?
Exactly. It's based on how much it would cost to rebuild that structure. So dependent upon the square footage of the home, the details of the home, it determines how much it would cost and how much insurance we would put on that property.
Okay. Now can you tell me, how are insurance policies different in certain areas? In California we've got fires, we've got earthquakes. How is that different when you're looking for insurance policies?
It's a really good question, because a lot of consumers think that if they have a homeowner's insurance policy, it covers everything, and that's just not the case. So in California, we have earthquakes. So earthquake is not covered on a homeowner's insurance policy. It's actually a separate policy. So they would have to purchase that separately, as well as flood insurance. So a home could possibly have 3 policies in place.
And then fire is separate as well?
Fire is the homeowner's insurance policy.
Okay, so the fire would be included. Okay.
Exactly.
And then what kind of company, when someone's looking and shopping for insurance, what kind of company should they be looking for?
People should be looking for a financially stable company. So AM Best is a rating company out there, and you want to make sure that they are purchasing through a company that has an excellent standing with AM Best.
Okay. And then lastly, tell me real quick, what would be 3 insurance tips that you would give to someone that's maybe purchasing their first home?
Sure. Tip number 1, I would say, is use an agent. Don't call a 1-800 number. Get a referral from a friend, from your lender, from your real estate agent, and see who they're using, because that's going to help you in deciding what kind of policy to purchase. Number 2 would be bundle your insurance policies together. You have auto insurance, you may have life insurance, you may have umbrella insurance, so try to get your policies all together so that you can save on those discounts, because a lot of times it'll go down. And then third is keep track of all your personal belongings, because in the case of a claim, you want to make sure that all of your belongings as well as your home is built back to the way that it was before.
Absolutely.
So,
and what would be a tip as far as how to keep track of all of those belongings?
my agency will give our customers a home inventory computer program that they can put into their computer. They can take video room by room of what they have and also make lists as well.
Okay, so make sure you have a good inventory of what's in there.
Absolutely.
Thanks so much, Jasmine, for coming on. Well, that wraps up our show for today. Thanks for tuning in. If you're interested in being spotlighted on a future show, go to www.oakwoodtv.tv and let us know. We'll see you next week, and thanks for tuning in.